Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Generation of Wrestling Podcast. As always, is yours truly, the 27-year-old piece of gold, the franchise, aka the showstopper, better known as the GOW's resident tribal chief. And with me, as always, I got my tag team partner, my brother, my family. He is the flyest in the room, Mr. 1, 2, 3. Pin that ass down, K Breezy, aka Too Cold Kimber in the building. Brother, how you doing?
Man, I'm excited about today, man. We got a big guest, big guest today, man.
Well, with that being said, let's not keep the people waiting. Big guest deserves big introduction. And with that being said,
Sure.
introducing our guest from Point Pleasant, New Jersey, by way of Atlanta, Georgia. He has worked for companies such as AWA, WCW, WWE, Impact, and most recently AEW. He is a former WCW Triple Crown winner and heavyweight champion, current WWE legend and Hall of Famer, owner, creator, and founder of DDPY. That's right. Don't call it yoga because he hit you with that bang and make your ass famous. Diamond Dallas Page, aka DDP. Brother, how you doing?
Now that's a sweet ass introduction there, bro.
I tried, brother. I tried.
Absolutely. I love that. No, you do. You got a good rap, bro. You got a good rap.
Man, look, my partner, he'll tell you, man, I've been working on this for about 2 weeks. So,
Hey,
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Well, with that being said, so I want to talk about a couple things, early life, childhood, of course, eventually we get into your career and then DDPY, Relentless and stuff like that. There are no rules on the show, man. The only rule is have fun. Feel free to be yourself. The slogan is real talk for real fans. So whatever you say is between us three and the internet. So with that being said, are you ready to go?
Hit it, baby. Hit it. Where do you want to start?
Well, the first thing I want to address the obvious, the current situation with the pandemic. What have you and the family been doing to kind of keep each other, grounded and sane in this new normal?
Atlanta, actually, Georgia as a whole is a really good. It's been good because people have been cautious, but it's not like everything's shut down and people
Right.
losing their businesses left and right because they actually let people sort of like patrol themselves. And in the beginning, man, I shut the house down like big time. And I had
Right.
my daughter Brittany because she's like, I always called her a unicorn her whole life as a child. And now that I'm living with her again with my baby granddaughter, it's me, her, and my girlfriend. My girlfriend's name is Paige. Her last name is McMahon. So she's got two iconic names for professional wrestling. But Brittany, like, man, we got to a point where you drop something off, it sat in the garage unless it had to go into the refrigerator, and we wipe shit down, and we're just super self-conscious. And then, things lightened up after about 3 months, and my girl, one of my daughters, Kimmy, is getting married, so they're doing a bridal shower. So Brittany and Kimmy and Paige were all there, and all these 16 women, one person had COVID and gave it to 9 people. I was I was one of the people off of. Paige got it and I got it, and it kicked my ass, but nowhere near as bad as it did her. Like for
Uh-huh.
her, she was freezing, like literally freezing to a point where I'd go covers and get on top of her and she's still freezing. So I ordered from Brittany ordered heating pads. So we put heating pads under her sheets. So when she started to get cold, she turned that up. But then the fever came every night. It went as high as 102.7.
Uh-huh.
And we finally, after I kicked out in about 2 weeks, and I really felt like I was getting better like 5 different times, and then
Right.
bam, it
It hit
beat
you
me
right.
down again, and it literally took me a month to get my strength back, and it took Paige about 6 weeks, and she is a fucking warrior, and I mean, she's one of those women or athletes. She's a professional adventure athlete where she run a 100-mile race. She would put a backpack on her back, run through the canyon, and do 170 miles in 6.5 days. Like that kind of warrior. Climb Mount Kilimanjaro and Mount Fuji, and it kicked her ass. And so we're back now, and we're good. She's still got the antibodies. I don't, but I'm good, and I'm careful, and that's all you can be. I'm not going to run and hide from it.
Oh no, not at all, sir. Not at all. Go ahead, franchise. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. Talking about the COVID and everything just going on. What has it been for your business of now? The DDPY. What has it that transition? Has it been easier doing things virtual now, seeing as that's the new normal of how we do things? Has that been better for you, or has it kind of been a slow build?
Well, I was preparing for virtual for the last 6 years, and we created an app that there's no fitness, wellness, there's no app out there like it, because it's not a workout app. It's not just my program. Every Monday on the app, Motivational Monday, something that I saw, something I went through, something I read that someone said, and I'm going to put that up every Monday. Every Tuesday, we got a new workout. And people go, oh man, I can't do your workouts, so you'll kill me. Like my workouts, my DDPY rebuild program starts in bed. Like you can't get out of bed? I got 3 workouts for you that help you get out of bed, sit in a chair, or the next level, the chair force, then stand strong using a chair. Now I work my way to psycho extreme shit, but it's from one end to another. And my program, I don't care who you are, it meets you where you are. So that's every Tuesday. And there's over 300 workouts on the app. There's over 300 of everything because of time. Every Wednesday, I've got a new cooking show, and we have a kitchen and everything, really kick-ass, studio kitchen. But when COVID hit, I was one of the first people to shut down because I got people in my gym working out, and they're all different ages. And I don't want to take a chance anybody getting sick off my watch. So I shut it down. Plus, we're a full-blown production company. And like anything you saw on AEW that wasn't in the ring, my guys filmed it. My guys produced it. If it's not live ring stuff, we produced it. And that part of my company is called Comeback Studios. We did The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. We did Relentless. Both of those documentaries are up on Amazon Prime right now. So we're a film production company. That's why we can film the workouts and film the cooking shows. Every Thursday is tip of the week. And I'll take some move that you might be having some problems with, and I've gotten some emails about it, and I'll show you how to make it easier so that you can get there and be able to do it. Or it might be something that I read or something to do with food, and I'll just throw it up there, tip of the week. And then every Friday, I tell people don't listen to a word I say about DDP Yoga. I will call it DDP Yoga because the company will always be that, but I brand it DDPY now. Why? Because I want people to stop calling it just yoga. I didn't develop it for one single yogi. I developed it for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga and need some kind of yoga in their life. And so on Fridays, there's a site, and it's DDP Yoga, one word. I didn't start it. A guy who's an instructor named Chris Gabriano, he started it, and he had like 10 guys on there. And then kind of 20, 30. Now there's over 57,000 people that are incredibly active. And it's a safe zone. People of all shapes, colors, sizes, you name it, are on there, and they're supporting each other. And when they have a bad day or a bad week, they talk, and you wouldn't believe the positive comments that people give back. And it's a thing, one of the things I'm the most proud of, because I don't have to say anything. Like, just go there and listen to how people help each other. So I'll just read pieces that people write or a video that they did, and sometimes it's funny, sometimes it'll make you cry. Like wow, that's powerful. So and in there we show you how to track everything from your weight, your inches, your size, your mobility, your pain, and it's just super interactive. So when I first shut down, TMZ called me and they were like, we heard Georgia, the governor, was like opening up everything.
Right.
And what do you think about that? I said, I met him. He's a nice guy, but he's just trying to get people back to work, because Atlanta should not be fucking open at all because it's too close and there's so many people. But in rural Georgia, where they might have had one COVID case, like, why should those people be completely shut down? So I said, I don't agree or disagree with it, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to err on the side of caution. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to open up my place. And then Anderson Cooper's people heard that, and he called me. And I got on with Anderson Cooper, and I made him laugh twice. And Anderson Cooper, he ain't ever cracked no smile. And he had a good time with me on the thing. It was fun, and told him the same thing, and it was like, man, this is crazy times. This happened, that happened, and DDP is erring on the side of caution. That was one of the things people put as like, these are crazy times.
Right. No one really knew, what was going on or how things, were going to be structured, but very understandable, with what was going on. Franchise, man, you want to kick things off, man? Let's get the ball rolling.
Well, absolutely, because I definitely want to talk a lot more about DDPY. I definitely want to talk about Relentless as well. But before we get into that, I want to kind of dub back a little bit and kind of start from the beginning. So with that being said, Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Explain to us, man, for the people who don't know, who is the man behind the character Diamond Dallas Page, and what was life like growing up for you in Jersey?
I actually have Angelo Pizzo here at my house. Angelo Pizzo is the guy who wrote and co-directed Hoosiers, Rudy, and My All American. And right now he's here and he's talking to me all about writing my story, because Rudy put us together. And so it's like total top of consciousness right now. Growing up as a kid, I was a football and hockey fanatic. Really love football, though. And looking back at what I've achieved in my life, if I said I was going to do something, I did it. And at 11, 12 years old, I knew I was going to play defensive end for the Cowboys or the Giants or the Jets. I was a Cowboy fan as a little kid. And that's where the name Dallas came from, because I was born Page Joseph Falkenberg. And I knew that name was never going to draw any money in the world of professional wrestling. So very early on, my dad, as a nickname, when he was around, he would call me Dick. Come on, he hated the Dallas Cowboys, and he knew I loved them. And he also knew that I hated the name. He was Page 1, and I hated the name Page 2. Like, I didn't want to be second to anybody. And I was so fixated on that. And then one day I was going to we got on the bus, me and my buddy Stan Yosis. We wanted to be there first. So we would go out the highway and flag the bus down. So we had our spot down, and the bus driver would pick us up. Well, one day it was snowing, and I walked across the street going, I saw the bus in the distance. I said, Stan, hold the bus. We're going to get some candy. And I walked right out in front of the car. It hit my right knee. My face bounced off the hood, and I flew 42 feet from the point of impact. My football career at 12 years old was over. And back then, there was no such thing. 1968, there was no such thing as rehabilitation, unless you were Joe Namath or Willis Reed, you know. And both of those guys, I found, well, when my doctor told me that he would not clear me to play football, I had heard about, I was a New York Knicks fan and Jets as well. And I heard that this guy, Dr. Nicholas, he worked on Joe Namath's knee and Willis Reed's knee. And I was like, Mom, please take me. I only got to see her like once a month. It's like, hey, please take me to this guy. That's making my birthday present. Well, that guy basically told me, you're never going to be Willis Reed. You're never going to be Joe Namath. You should start hitting the books. And at 30 years old, I was reading at about third grade level. I mean, I grew up with ADD and dyslexia when no one knew what the hell that shit was. And I sort of, finagled and cheated my way through school and got people to write papers for me. And that's where I learned about quid pro quo. Like, I'll help you with this. You help me with that, But that's what I learned about the best lesson that came out of this. And I literally was just talking to Angelo about this. The only two sports they let me play, baseball and basketball. I sucked at both. And I didn't care because I played football and hockey. I didn't care. And all of a sudden, you can't play football or hockey. And baseball, you got to have at least one other guy to throw the ball back and forth, And then, I figured, you need a dad to help you. I didn't have my dad around or any of that. I was, pretty much raising myself. My grandmother was trying her best, but, she was she was a grandmother. And, grandmas are great for being at home, but they ain't going to help you on the other stuff. They don't know what to do. And with basketball, I didn't make the team in 7th grade. I didn't care. But in 8th grade, I made the team because I was 6'1". And I realized, like, I'm sitting on the bench. Like, that ain't ever going to happen again. Like, this is going to be what I'm going to do. And that summer, I played 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a day, all day long. Because as you guys know, the best thing about basketball is you can play all by yourself. You can do dribble. You can learn how to dribble better. Layups, hooks, turnaround jumpers, foul shots. You can have a game with a whole team and nobody's out there. So in the beginning, nobody picked me. Eventually, I got picked, and eventually, I was picked into teams, and eventually, I was one of the best kids in the county. And what I learned from that was work ethic equals results. Inside my Hall of Fame ring, it says work ethic equals dreams! Exclamation point, DP.
With that being said, before I pass over to my partner, so you said I see that you played JV basketball your freshman year, varsity your sophomore year. Was there ever any thought of you possibly going pro, whether it be NBA or overseas, or was that just something you did strictly in high school?
No, I knew I didn't have the ability because I played with the best players. I mean, I would hitchhike into the hood, baby, and and I'd be the only white boy there, And I knew I didn't have the skills for that, but in my teens, I made a decision I wanted to be a wrestler, and that I knew I could do. And I tried it when I was 23, but it didn't work out for me. I the same knee. I had 3 matches. I mean, I was so green, and I did something where I went over the top rope, came down and jammed. I didn't tear anything, but I like a bone bruise. So it took me out of the game, and I'd only been working a couple of months on it anyway. And then I got an opportunity to run my first bar. And it was like a little rock and roll bar. And then the booze, the broads, and the party, baby. 23 years old. I've been in the business since I was 18. But to actually be running a place and have bars on each side of you, I mean, it was a hot spot. And I enjoyed that spot.
It sounds like it. And speaking of that nightclub, uh, the people that were coming in, like you said, you were a fan of wrestling. You tried it out. Of course, you said your knee went out on you. Who were the people that were coming by that were inspiring you to want to continue to pursue it later on in your career? Later on before you got into WCW.
Yeah, like what had happened is it's just 79 when I wrestled, right? So
Okay.
Right.
I lose track of the dream. And then 80s, 81, 82, here comes WrestleMania. And I am so pissed at myself for not putting the work in and following the dream that I stopped watching wrestling. And then one day I was flicking the channels and I see Gorilla Monsoon, who I've known since I was a little kid as far as watching him on TV. But there's also this cat with a leather coat and a do-rag and these crazy glasses and a boa, and it's Jesse the Body Ventura. I'm like, this guy's amazing. And the first guy to come through the friggin' curtain had a bag over his shoulder, Fu Manchu, the long hair, the one and only Jake the Snake Roberts, and he mesmerized me. Like I'd done it, because every kid growing up now, is this shit real? Like, what's
Right.
like, I don't get it. Like, especially when you're younger, you don't know. And as you got older, because you don't know what's real and what's not in professional wrestling. And I started thinking, like, man, well, maybe this guy, Jake Roberts, like his shit looks real.
Right.
Like you couldn't see through his shit.
No.
And I just became a big fan again. And then I'm running some huge club in Fort Myers, Florida. The first club I ran was in 79. In 85, 6, 7, up till 80, up till 90, I ran a big ass club in Fort Myers. And one night, I want to say it was like 1987, I'm in the back office and I had a camera on the front door. See who's walking in, and a guy walks in, looks just like Jake. And instead of going through 1,000 people, I'm going to walk around the outside of the club. Come walking in, I go to the front desk girl who's collecting the money. I'm like, Judy, did some guy walk in here look like Jake the Snake Roberts? She's like, yes. Everybody thinks it's him. So, like the mark that I was at the moment, I ran in there, and then I see him and I slow down and slowly make my way near him. And I go, hey, man, you Jake the Snake Roberts? And he says, who wants to know? I said, the guy who runs this place. He's like, yes. What can I do for you? I said, what are we drinking? And that night we drank. He told me stories, and he was Jake. He was exactly who that guy is you think he is. And if you wrestled in Tampa, in the WW at the time F, now WWE, the next show was in Miami. That's 300 miles you got to drive.
Right.
Right in the middle, almost right in the middle is Fort Myers. So what would happen is Jake told the boys, you got some guy, there's a big mark, and he takes care of the guys. This is a picture of the $1 Million Man and me pouring tequila into his mouth.
Wow, that is awesome.
The funny part about that is I've been trying to get Ted to do DDPY for 17 years, since I started doing it as a business 17 years ago. DDPY is an 8-year overnight success. Like the first 8 years, that's what Relentless is. A lot of that is in Relentless. Thank you, baby. Come here, Kurt. Say hello to the fellas. This is my girl, Paige McMahon.
Hey, guys.
How you doing, Miss Paige? How are you?
But Jake, he told all the guys, Ted DiBiase, I've been trying to get Ted to do it for 17 years. And about 3 months ago, he called me up and he's like, Dee, I'm ready. I go,
Ooh.
you're ready to start the program? He goes, yes. He's like, can me and my wife Mel both come? I said, yes. So they came in here for a week. And the first night, we were up on my porch having dinner, and
Uh-huh.
Ted tells that story about the tequila shots. And I walked, they hadn't come downstairs to the war room down here. And I came downstairs, I grabbed the picture, I walk up, I go, you mean shots like this? And oh my God, his wife thought it was the funniest thing. She'd been with him the whole time.
That's awesome, and especially like you say for those guys to be right there in between, two places like that where that's a big, huge wrestling places where people go, and for them to come in and interact with you, and you being that cool guy that allows them to come in, that's pretty awesome. But while also doing that, you also started being a manager for AWA. How did that all become about? Clearly, because you really weren't back into the wrestling just yet. But how did that come about for you?
No, right. I was, it's, I tell people all the time, if I would have known how impossible it is for an outsider to get in there at that
Right.
level on TV, if I knew what I know today, I would never even have tried it. Because sometimes ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah,
Because
most
the
definitely.
only guys that didn't have some kind of lineage or start as wrestlers and pay their dues, the only guys, and they're two of the smartest guys in the business, one's Paul Heyman and the other is Jim Cornette. But both of those guys started as photographers when they were like 13, 14 years old. They
Yeah.
get the guys' jackets and take it back. Like they just found their way and they put the work in, just like the other wrestlers. For me to roll in at 31, unheard of. So this is how the story went. I'm in my club, that big club that Jake and Ted and Bushwhackers and Michaels and Janetti came. So many guys came, and
Now this is Norma Jeans, right?
yeah, Norma Jeans Dance Club, and the the DJ was playing "Girls Just Want to Have Fun" by Cyndi Lauper. This is after work. Like I'm collecting the drawers with a couple of the bartenders, so we get all the money back there, and everybody gets their drawer. Everybody counts it in front of everybody. But we're drinking,
Right.
And when I was collecting the drawer, I looked up and I saw Captain Lou Albano. I think at the end, dancing around is him, Nikolai, Volkov. I can't remember who else. And I'm just looking at that TV, and I'm like, man, rock and wrestling. I should have been a part of that. And I grabbed the drawers and I walk in my office. And about 10 minutes later, my head bartender, Smokey, and back then I went by Page J because my dad was Page One and he was out working the parking lot. So he's out there with cocktails and directing people, and he was a piece of work or is a piece of work. But I'll tell you a story. Let me tell you this story. Hold on a second.
No, go ahead.
One of the delivery guys comes in my club. One of my delivery guys comes in my club one night. And you see how I got all these pictures up here behind me? Well, I've always done shit like that in my offices. But, it could have been maybe that was name, Cheap Trick. They might have come in because we had the hottest spot from Sarah to Cuba. God, who else? I mean, there was so many big stars came in there. I can't remember his name, but I had all these pictures behind me. And this delivery guy knows my old man. He's drank with my old man. He knows he's a character, right? And he's looking at this picture right here. And he's like, Diamond, who is that? And I looked up, I said, that's my mom.
Oh man. Oh
and,
man.
and, and he looks at me, he doesn't miss a beat. Like I said, he knows my old man, he just seen my mom, he goes, you never had a chance, did you? And I just burst out laughing. But so I'm sitting in the back, I'm starting to count money. Smokey comes in and he's like, hey, Page J, he goes, what do you mean rock and wrestling? You should have been a part of that. I said, oh God, I didn't really, you heard that? He said, yeah. I said, well, I tried it when I was a kid. I was like 23. He goes, really? He's like, what was your name? I said, Handsome Dallas Page. And he went, oh, you can forget about using that gimmick anymore. And everybody burst out laughing. And now the drinks, the shots are happening. We're drinking after hours. We're bar people. So
right.
we ain't going to leave here till around, it's probably around 2 o'clock. We ain't leaving before 4, and
Having a good time.
and everybody's talking shit and telling stories. Yeah. And I just couldn't get it out of my head. And I start doodling on a fucking it would be like a calendar board. And I write Diamond Dallas Page. And then I say, I'm too old to be a wrestler. I was 31 at the time. I said, but I could be a manager. And I'm just talking shit. I'm not planning to do this. It's not a vision yet. I said, Jimmy Hart's got the Hart Foundation. I could have the Diamond Exchange. Woo, shot, drink. But I write it down because I'm doodling it, right? And I always tell people, just don't think it, ink it, like write it down, make yourself accountable.
Right.
Tell people you're going to do something because then they're going to call you on that later if you don't.
Yeah.
And so at some point, the shots, we're in about an hour or so talking shit. At some point, I go, there's no really good-looking women in professional wrestling. And we're talking about like 1987. I said, except for Miss Elizabeth, but she's like girl next door beautiful.
Right.
I said, man, what if I had a whole stable of the ladies and I called them Diamond Dolls and they were stripper hot? And Smokey goes, oh, that'll be a stretch. Because back then, brother, I was Diamond Dallas Page. And I was living that life. And I just wrote it down. And then right before we left, I said, this ever was to come to fruition. I said I would be Diamond Dallas Page. My wrestlers would be a part of the Diamond Exchange. I would have the Diamond Dolls. And just off a riff, I said, that is BADD bad. And I looked around at my buddies and I go, did I just make that up? It's 1987. I go, I think I did. And I wrote it down. So as sometimes planets have lined up for me. And then, they don't get me all the way, but they get me part of the way. And around that time, there was a little show that was on Southwest Florida Cable, and it was called the Party News Network. And the Party News Network would, a new place opens up, or they're going to be there if, one of the hot bands are in town at the Leaf Civic Center. They're going to be where the party's at. And they wanted to interview me because of the way I did my commercials. Like I might have had like Thursday, like a synthesizer voice, but I might, you might have heard this Wednesday, dig it, hot legs, $1,000 in cash and prizes, and then I go off and do something else, and people had seen Jake and Ted and Bushwhack. They'd seen a bunch of these guys in my club. So I could do Jesse Ventura back then. I can't do it today, but back then I could just sound exactly like him or Hulk or Dusty in public, if you will. You know, they didn't know, and I would put these guys in the spot. So they want to do this story about The Voice.
Right.
And they show me in my 62 pink Cadillac convertible and me looking over the big fins. They dubbed in David Lee Roth going, "Hello, baby." And that's how it starts. Me driving down the road in my 62 pink Cadillac convertible. And then they show me in the studio, and I've got a WrestleMania shirt on. Not in the business. I'm just a fan, right?
Right.
And then they show me in my office. And while I'm sitting in that same chair we were partying in, the guy says to me, "So where does the voice come from?" And I look down. My answer's written right in front of me. Now, if there's not a pair of white sunglasses there at the time, be honest to God, truthful, I don't know if I do it or not. But they were there. And I took those glasses and I put them on. It was like having a mask on. I was like,
Right.
"The voice comes from Diamond Dallas Page, Daddy. I was born to be a professional wrestling manager. It's big, it's bad, it's Norma Jeans' voice." And then I took them up and I kept talking. And about a week later, I'm in my office and I'm never there during the day, but I was there during the day. And Judy calls back, "Paige, got someone for a Diamond Dallas Page." I pick up the phone. I go, "Fuck you, Smokey," and I hang up the phone. Right? And she calls back. She goes, "That's not Smokey. His name is Smitty. He's calling back. He has a radio show. He wants to talk to you." I pick up the phone. I go, "Who is this?" And we end up talking. And he tells me that he's a boxing. He has a boxing show, and that's what his main sport that he really handles. But wrestling is so big. He said, "I want to do wrestling once a month, and I want you to come on and do it with me." I'm like, "Smitty, I don't really do this shit. I was just making it up."
Just having some fun.
He's like, "Right." He's like, "That's okay. It's radio. I'd love to have you on." I go, "Dude, I don't know enough, to really come in there and like just talk smack about wrestling. I watch it, but I don't know." He goes, "Man, I'm going to have Captain Lou Albano on my show." Now, what are the odds of that?
Yeah.
Me saying rock and wrestling, looking at Captain, and now I'm going to get to talk to Lou. I go, "Do I get to talk to him?" He's like,
Right.
"Absolutely." I go, "I'm in." And I went and done the show, and now I'm writing backstory. Diamond Dallas Page from Johannesburg, South Africa, because of my diamond mines. Don't you know? Like I'm making up all this shit, so I have things that if they said something, I got answers. And the show was a lot of fun. It was a childhood dream, and then the next one was with Sergeant Slaughter. And then Smitty and I go out to have a beer after that. And he's like, "Man, you really got to do something with this Diamond Dallas Page thing." And I'm like, "Smitty, do what? It's not real." He goes, "Yeah, I know, but I'm just telling you, man. I got a friend of mine who was a promoter, and he used to promote boxing. Now they've got him in the AWA in the middle of the country up in Minneapolis. And I think I've got his address. I think you should make up a tape and send him a tape." I go, "A tape of what?" And he's like, "You'll think of something. I know you wanted to do this as a kid. You'll think." What ended up happening is I created, and here's one of them right here. I had a friend of mine who was a radio jock, And like you can tell, like this, the wall behind me, every picture has a story, right? Well,
Right.
this guy right here with the microphone, I fly him in. He's a radio jock named Jack Bernstein. And the guy in the middle, I called him Rock Hard Rick. And he was just chiseled down, right?
Right.
I made up another guy called Big Bad John. And I had a guy named Ted E. Bear, and he was a midget. And, and
Ted E.
he
Bear.
walks
That's
out
nice.
with the diamond. The funny part, he used to be all three of these guys were bouncers for me, right? And
Right.
Teddy would stand like on a bar stool and take people's IDs. So I was taller than them. Teddy, back when you could still do midget tossing in your club, we did midget tossing with Teddy. And where I got the name for Teddy Bear, when they outlawed midget tossing, I called it "Put the Bear in the Air." Put Teddy Bear. How far can you throw Teddy? And he would go flying through the club onto the big ramps that we'd set up. But I put this tape together. I sent it to the AWA. Like, I don't think anything's gonna happen, but I gotta at least do what feels like destiny, you know? 2 weeks later, they call me up. This is Rob Russin from the AWA. Is Diamond Dallas Page there? Yes, he is. Rob, how are you? And he's like, listen, we like your tape. We've showed it around. Everybody likes your stick. We want to bring you and your boys in for a tryout. He said, but we've got one question. Where are you guys working? Nobody's ever heard of you guys before. Well, Rob, none of those guys could actually wrestle. He was like, what? Like, why would you send in the tape? I said, Rob, truthfully, it's like a secret fucking society you guys got. Like, you can't find a way in. And these guys want to be wrestlers. I go, they could go to school. I could actually be managing, people that you could put me with. Don't call us, we'll call you. One of those deals. And I thought, well, God, I was so close.
Oh, man.
And then as the planets continue to align, Paul E. Dangerously, better known as Paul Heyman, leaves the AWA and goes to the NWA, which left a huge void for a young cat that could talk. And I get a call back about 2 or 3 weeks later. Now, again, at this point, I'm thinking this shit's over,
Right.
And I get a call from Greg Gagne, and he says, DDP, we want to bring you in. We want to bring you and some of those. He said, we want to bring you in for a tryout, and we want you to bring all those crazy clothes you wear. Like, where's my one picture here? Where the hell? One picture I like to show. I don't know where the hell it is. Oh, it's over here. Hold on.
Now, do you?
I can't find the damn thing. Oh, here it is. I can't. Oh, here it is right in front of me. I dress like this in the nightclub, bro. With the freaking sequin jackets and the diamond studded shit. I had 5 earrings in. Here's a great picture. This is a picture of me putting together the thing for the Diamond Dolls. Now that's my 62 pink Cadillac. If you get a close up on any of those ladies, they are all smoking hot. And that's in Fort Myers right there. So he says, bring a couple of those hot chicks and all those crazy clothes you wear. You know, I wore zebra skin jackets, leopard skin jackets, zebra skin boots. I had holes in my jeans in 1987, you know, and did that as a fashion statement. And I got a girl who was, you know, a good friend of mine, and we used to have a lot of fun together. And I needed her like now because they wanted me to come in like next week. And so I called her up and said, man, I would love you to come. And where the hell's that picture at? And oh, here it is. I know that this is my very first day in professional wrestling because she only did this once. And next thing you know, I get there and me, under my tutelage, I help Bad Company become the tag team champions of the world in AWA. And you'll notice that I'm not that much taller than them, about the same size as Diamond. That's Paul Diamond. The girl's Leanne. The girl right there, she is now the head sales person. Like she controls all of the sales in North America for Visor. That's bringing the blue pill, you know, bringing Viagra. And now they've got the, they're one of the companies that got the vaccine. So like she's super powerful chick. But I know that was the first day because she was with me. And the reason why those guys are about the same size as me, my feet are this far apart. So I lower my 6'4" height. But it was a lot of fun. And that's a long answer, but that's exactly how it happened.
No, I appreciate that long answer, and because the one thing about you being that manager, being that guy that can talk, being that guy, you know, that was, you had a way with your words and in the way that you presented yourself. What was it like when they told you that your manager, your character as a manager was bigger than the wrestlers themselves?
I was like, I just can't, I literally looked at Magnum and I go, when he's telling me I can't manage anymore, I'm like, what did I do wrong? He goes, it's not your fault. You know, the clothes, the bling, the wrap, the hair, the dolls. It's like, no one's paid attention to anything else. And I said, so you're telling me I'm too over the top for professional wrestling? You know, like that's like an oxymoron. And he said, hey, it's not your fault. What we should have done was put a pair of tights and boots on you and see if you could do this. And I knew right then, like when I was 23, I wasn't trying to be a manager or a color commentator. I wanted to be a wrestler. I had 7 months left on my contract. And I will never forget Jimmy Jam Garvin, Michael P.S. Hayes. Actually, there's a picture of those guys right there. Somebody drew for me, of us, three of us. They were the biggest ribbers ever. And like one time I put, you know, you got the big Cadillac and you got the arm down rest for your arm. And I stuck my foot through it because that when I hit by that car, it bothered me sometimes. So I stretched it out. And Jimmy Garvin goes, Dallas, is there your foot in the front seat? I go, yeah, Jimmy, I was trying to stretch my leg out. Next thing you know, he's got a lighter under my foot and is giving me a legitimate hot butt. You know, shit like that. They would, you motherfucker. But when they heard the news, they were so empathetic. They came up like, and I never seen those guys ever like that. They're like, hey, man, we feel really bad, but it's part of the business. And, it was great while it lasted. And they were trying to console me. And I said, it don't matter, bro. I'm good. I got 7 months left of my contract. I'm going down that power plant. I'm going to learn how to wrestle. And they looked at each other and they burst out laughing like it was the funniest thing they ever heard. I mean, Hayes fell down on the ground laughing. And I gave him both the finger and said, see you out in the ring. This was the last time I was going to walk up to the ring.
Right.
And years later, like 5 years later, Michael P.S. Hayes, I had a match with Sting in January '96. And I was running into, it was a Tuesday morning. I flew back home. I was running out to go to the gym and I heard the message machine go off and I was just running out the door and then I hear Page, P.S. I ran to the phone. I picked it up. Hey, Mike, God damn it. Motherfucker. I'm like, Mike, you're right, son of a bitch. I'm like, Mike, what's the matter? He's like, Page, sometimes you don't want someone to pick up the fucking phone. You just want to leave a message. I'm like, yeah. You want me to hang up so you can call back? No, fuck it. No, you're on here. He said, Page, everybody, seen your match last night. I'll tell you, I gotta be honest. That match you had with Stinger, he said, I have never been so happy to eat crow in all my life. Great job. Click, and he hung up at me. but that was a moment. That was a moment, and I knew I was just moments away from really arriving. I just needed something big.
Right.
And if it fucking happened, and it would be the NWO. And when they came in and, took over, and Sting went into the rafters, to create the crow. And Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were like legit brothers of mine. Like, I don't know if you remember what Scott Hall looked like pre Razor Ramon. Razor Ramon was the Diamond Stud, the character I created with the black hair. And so, I got him to shave that big walrus mustache and grow that 5 o'clock shadow that he had at about 2 o'clock. And, stupid, handsome son of a bitch, But I created the toothpick, everything. We were both supposed to do it, and mine fell out of my mouth while I was talking shit for him. So it really was, it should have been his thing anyway,
Right.
And Bad Guy was born. And so he never forgot that. Plus, I got him a job when his wife was pregnant with their kid, with her first son. And so there was some wanting to pay me back. And I never reached out and asked for it. And Kevin Nash, we were partners as the Vegas Connection right when I tore my rotator cuff, and they let me go. But he wanted to quit a bunch of times. And I'm like, man, do not let these fuckers beat you, bro. Do not let them beat you. You're going to be one of the biggest names ever. You have just got to stick with it. Do not quit. And when Nash went in the Hall of Fame, that was one of the things he said. He said, I owe my beachfront home to Dallas, because he kept me in the game when there were times I want to go fuck you, And so I came up with the idea to drop the NWO. That was my idea, but I didn't present it. Nash did.
Now, speaking of the NWO, you said you, Nash, Hogan, Savage. How does it feel to know you guys were all in the NWO together? The magic you created, you being in the ring with guys like them, along with Ric Flair, the Steiners, Booker T, and then for you and most of them guys I just mentioned, everybody actually, to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame together. How surreal is that to you, especially knowing that you really started your career as a 35-year-old rookie? Like, how crazy is that to think these guys have been around wrestling maybe 10 plus years or so more before you, and yet you're still revered as one of the goats of the industry?
Yeah, and then being on top
Yeah,
for
Right. Right.
yeah,
all that time. Uh, Me dropping Kevin Scott, and my feud with the NWO was the best. And it was the best thing happening because it made, let me just get a battery on this. It made um, the people turn me babyface. Excuse me. It the that dropping of Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, dropping of the NWO, which again, it was my idea, but Kevin Nash got it pushed through with Eric Bischoff. Like I
right,
couldn't. And to have that run and ended up, you know, like we kicked the WWE's ass for 83 straight weeks. And
yeah,
it was
I
for a
remember.
year. They won, we won. They won, we won. I mean, it was must see TV. And it has laid such a huge impact on people that grew up with us over that period because we were reality based
right,
and people didn't know what was real and what wasn't. To
Right.
actually gotten through it and ended up in the Hall of Fame. That was my favorite night ever. And not winning the world title, not wrestling in front of 22,000 people, being able to thank everyone who helped me get there. That. And my only story in my brain was I'm gonna blow everybody away. I want to make them laugh. I'm gonna make them cry. I'm gonna inspire them. And what was funny was the night before, 2 nights before the Hall of Fame. It's happening. I'm there, and up walks this guy Foz. He's one of the writers. He goes, "Hey, DDP, I'll be writing your speech with you." I'm like, "Foz, do you not think I've been working on this for the last 3 months? Are you kidding me? I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody's help." And he
Right.
goes, "Well, so what is it? You got it down to 15, 10 or 15 minutes?" I said, "No, 27 minutes." And he said, "Oh, D, we can't go that long." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me this now?" And so I go up and I spend that whole night rewriting it. And the next
Mhm.
day he calls me. He goes, "Hey," I said, "I've almost got it finished." He goes, "I want to hear the original. Can I come up and will you do it for me?" I said, "Absolutely." He came up. I did. I had him laughing. I had him getting choked. I mean, all the shit that I knew was going to happen in front of a crowd, he was doing in my room. And he goes, "Let me go talk to Kevin Dunn." Because Kevin Dunn, he's the guy who runs the show. Vince McMahon is the grand poobah, but Kevin Dunn runs that TV show. And he makes a lot of the decisions. And so he called me up. He said, "Kevin said, do it. And you're coming out first. Don't go over 30." And that was that was my finest moment in professional wrestling. And it was the best thing I've ever done. And it'll be around forever for people to watch and be inspired when I'm long gone.
Speaking of big moments, it was a time where you, Arn Anderson, and Savage, you guys in the locker room. Arn came in. He asked Savage, "What do you want the finish to be?" And when he said he wanted to take your diamond cutter, can you just kind of explain what that meant to you personally and what that meant to your career moving forward?
I honestly didn't really realize. I knew it was huge, but I never really knew how huge it was until I experienced the aftermath. I
Mhm.
mean, first of all, our angle was completely reality based. You know, we had great promos leading into it. And it lasted for friggin' 7 months. Unlike something you hot shot and a month later, 2 months later, it's over. And Arn, who I love today, and I loved him for a long time in the beginning, but there was a time where we were at odds with each other, and he basically told me I was never going to be a top guy. And he told me because Hogan, Sting, Luger, Flair, or Savage are ever going to put you over. Like, guys, when you're at that level, like, no, I'm not doing it. And 90% of the time, they'll get their way. Right. And in this scenario, I never got in this dreaming that Savage is going to put me over. You know, I just being able to work with him was a huge honor. But he was listening to the crowd every night. And every single night, I might have hit a couple of diamond cutters when the NWO was running in, and maybe I escaped, or maybe, boom, I got glommed by Norton or whoever the next guy was. And next thing you know, Randy's dropping elbows on me. And I'll tell you something about Randy's elbow. There is nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean fucking nothing about it. When that motherfucker hit you, and I say that with all the love in the world, and I was thankful as hell, but I swear to God, the first time he landed on me, I literally thought the opposite side of my rib cage opened up and my guts splattered all over the friggin' mat. Like, I pissed blood for 13 out of 16 weeks. I'm like, Randy, please stop landing. Like, land on my stomach. That next match, he landed on my face, knocked me out. If you watch the Great American Bash, the referee is losing his mind. He's screaming, "Go home!" When you get to a 3-hour window, and it's 3 hours in 1 second, it goes to the next program. So if we're not out, if you didn't buy the extra time, which is a lot of money, so they want you out by 2 hours and 56 minutes. All right, you're done. Aftermath, recap. No, we're like fucking 2:59 and 3 seconds. And now we're starting the actual finish where I get hit with Scott Hall by the belt. If Scott Hall hits you with a belt, he hits you with a belt. And I'm not bullshitting. Then he freaking grabbed me, hit me with his finish. And then Randy comes through and he lands on my face. The next thing I know, I'm walking backstage. I stop. I look at my wife, Kimberly, and I go, did I just wrestle?
Damn.
And she said, what? I said, is it Nitro? Did I just wrestle? She said, stop it, Paige. You scared me. I go, what the fuck? And I start flipping. She goes, calm down. You just wrestled Randy Savage, the Great American Bash. I said, what happened? And she told me that happened. Scott Hall raises Randy's hand. If you guys watch the match, you'll see me start to sit up. Thank you, God. I fall back down. It goes to black. She told me after that I sat up like Undertaker. Came to my feet, staggered, fell through the ropes to the floor, gave them both the finger, and she said, and now we're here.
You're on autopilot, I see.
Like, that's like fighting shit in the back. That's like freaking Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, Sylvester Stallone just filled you full of holes, and Tony Montana comes out, bah, 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 like, you know, your bullets aren't phasing me. You know, that's heat in the back. And those guys came back mad as fuck. And I put a table in front of me so they couldn't like bum rush me. I didn't know how they were going to handle that, but I knew they'd be mad. And they kicked that door in. And they're like, what the? Blah, 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 blah. And I went, blah, 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 blah. I go, you knocked me out. You think I'm full of shit? And I threw the table out of the way. And they went, rah, 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 rah. And they turned around and walked out because they thought, oh, maybe we did knock them out. And next morning, my face was like this. And I was waiting because that next night, I had a match in the main event in United Center in Chicago. And I waited right at the bottom where all the people come in. And when he rolled up to me, finally, Randy walked in and he saw me and he looked at my face. Sorry, brother. He walked away. But he knew I didn't bogart him. But to go back to your question about Arn, like I said, Arn said I would never be a top guy. And then Randy says, I think I want to take the diamond cutter. And Arn just looked at me and he was like, man, wow. I got diamond. Hope you know what this means for your career. I'm like, yeah, I do, Arn. But I really didn't because that wasn't the pay-per-view. That was the night before the pay-per-view. Randy wanted to hear how the people would react because everywhere we wrestled, they beat the shit out of me and left me laying, shit flying into the ring, like cups and bottles and, all sorts of shit. And that's how it normally happened, or I'd escape. But most times I got my ass beat. And during this match, we went out there and tore it down, man. And he didn't give me a lot because he knew he was putting me over. So he pretty much dominated, beat my ass, gave me some hope spots and fucking kicked me down. And finally, I blow a little comeback. He stops me and he goes, diamond cutter. And he went to slam me and I turned into a cutter. And it was like almost a moment of silence. And then people just, wow, because they couldn't believe I caught him with it. And then when I laid on him, laid my arm across him, it was one of the top 5 loudest pops I ever had. And I could hear him saying, well, guess we know what we're doing for Spring Stampede. Yeah. Because he really talked like that, man.
Speaking of Spring Stampede, you got your opportunity, to win the World Heavyweight Championship. You went up against pretty much 3 of the top Hall of Fame guys that you could ever name: Sting, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair. What was that like for you to be in that match with those 4 guys? Just on their name alone of who they are, what they've done for the business, and even to that point, what was it like for you? And then for you to go over and to be the one to get that victory.
You really got to know the backstory. And it's so crazy. I didn't really even realize it until I was writing my Hall of Fame speech. Years later, like 15 years later, 17, yeah, it was 90. Yeah, like it was 18 years later that I realized that when I'm writing this speech, there was a story I tell about Dusty. Because Dusty, without Dusty Rhodes, there is no Diamond Dallas Page. He was there for me anytime I needed him. If I needed to call him, he'd dream because he was sucked at calling back. If I said, I need to talk to you, he'd pick up the phone and he'd call me right back. And he'd let me vent or bitch, about the booking committee and how they weren't doing shit with me. And at one point, I was bitching for a while. At one point, I was like, Dream, I know I'm never going to be you or Rick or Hulk. I mean, I know I'm never going to be the world champion, but these sons of bitches went, damn it, enough. What did you just say? And now I'm feeling kind of stupid. I'm like, well, Dusty, I know I'm never going to be you or Rick or Hulk. He goes, no, D, what did you say after that? So I know I'm never going to be the world champion. He said, then what the fuck are you doing it for? He said, Dallas, as hard as you work, as much time as you put into this shit, that If you don't think you could be the world champion, you need to get the fuck out of our business right now. And fellas, he kept talking, and it felt like he reached through and just fucking just bitch slapped me, you know? And I don't remember a word he said after that, but I know exactly what I did. Right next to my phone was a pad. And it was for if the answer machine, you picked up the phone, you gotta leave. All right, what was their name? You had a pad there for your phone, right? I grabbed that pad and I'm listening to him, but I'm not. I'm just listening to what he just said to me. You know, it's like ringing in my ears.
Exactly.
And I wrote down on that pad, I will be the world champion in 5 years or less. It was 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days that April 11th, 1999 rolled around. 5 days, 6 days after my 43rd birthday, I get in the ring with Rick and Hulk and Sting. I told Dusty just 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days earlier, I'm never going to be Rick or Hulk or you. Well, Sting is as good a substitute for Dusty Rhodes as you can have.
Yeah.
It's like
Take a microphone.
laid it out, and all
Right.
the planets came together,
And
and there I am. And Randy Savage, 2 pay-per-views earlier in 1997, he puts me over in the middle. Now he's the guest referee. Randy Savage hands me this thing right here. He hands me this. And
Beautiful.
I can't even really communicate how surreal that was. The next day was my favorite moment. Me and Kim, that happened in Tacoma, Washington. And me and Kim were on our way to Spokane. And the phone rings. And I pick it up. And I hear his voice. He said, "So, D, how'd it feel?" I said, "Dusty, it feels fucking real." He said, "That's because it is." And that was a moment I will never forget. So, again, work ethic equals dreams. In my documentary, Relentless, at the end of the documentary, I tell people, never underestimate the power someone gives you by believing in you. And I deal with a lot of people who are lost hope in my program. I deal with a lot of top shelf athletes as well. But I deal with a lot of people who lost hope. And maybe it's their significant other that believes in them, or their son or their daughter or something believes that they can do this. And I tell them, don't ever underestimate the power that someone gives you by believing in you. But more importantly, never underestimate the power you give yourself by believing in you. I mean, there is nothing more powerful. We can destroy ourselves or we
Right.
can build ourselves. And when I wrote a book called Positively Unstoppable, The Art of Owning It. And it is that 6-inch piece of real estate in between your ears. It's the
Right.
story you tell yourself. It's that constant inner voice. And once you achieve that goal that maybe you even thought was impossible, and now it's possible and it happened, what's your next goal? What are you doing next? Okay, you climbed Mount Everest 20 years ago. what the fuck are you doing right now? Like,
Right.
how are you changing your life for the better? You
Right.
know, like the really cool part about what I'm doing with DDPY, and I'm so glad that God has let me stay on this earth. Let me live 5 different lives in one. But I know that DDPY will be here long after I'm gone. Like long after. I'm constantly introducing new trainers that have real stories. Like my girlfriend, Paige McMahon, like I told you, she's an adventure athlete, but she's
Right.
also broke her back twice. Twice. Once when she was 16, and once when she had an accident when she fell off a tree 15 feet, broke her back in 3 places, broke her arm and her leg. She's the only one around. She's got to crawl into the house. I mean, this girl got crazy heart. And she was a yogi. It was yoga that for her first time that helped her. And it was DDPY that was her second time that healed her back. And she realized, wow, this shit's really different. And we've been together for about a year and a half now. And she's super, super smart lady that really gets what we're doing. And her and I'm grooming like 3 different people that will take this on and build, my program and long after I'm gone, and that's really powerful.
With that being said, we with your later years later on, you wrestled with against Kevin Nash. You took a mean, power bomb from him, which ended up breaking your back. And what was kind of just the process of what was going through your mind when that happened for you? Just taking such a move like that, and especially when you were kind of like at that height of where you're one of the main guys, you're in the business, and this happens to you, and there's potential that this could be the end of your career.
Well, just to say something for Kev, like Kevin laid me perfectly flat. I just
Right.
hit wrong. And it
Right.
wasn't that bump. It was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
And I mean, I was running so hard. Like all the shit you saw of me was in my 40s. I
Right.
wasn't in my 30s or 20s, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And and again, but it's all about how you hold back the time. But when that happened, I literally had just signed the downsize $4.8 million contract. That was the downsize. And if I don't get back in that ring in 6 months, that gets cut in half. 6 months, cut in half. 6 months, cut in. So the contract was not worth the paper it was written on unless
Right.
I was there.
Right.
And I got super depressed at first, like anybody would, but I tell everybody, like if you look at the top players in the world, I mean, The Rock, and I'm not using him as a wrestler here. I am talking about the number one actor in the world. The biggest fucking star in the world is one of us. And he did a whole thing on YouTube on his shit that he did all about depression and how depressed he was. Like everybody gets depressed, everybody goes down. Obama goes down. Trump goes down. Tom Brady goes down. LeBron James goes down. Oprah goes down. None of those cats stay there. No matter what, they may take the hit, they may suck it up, and then boom, they're back again. You know, and that's what I try to do. Watching how other people handle that, and that's what I try to do. In this scenario, I probably was really bummed out about 3 days, and then Kimberly was doing yoga, and she's like, "You should really try it." And I literally said, "Fuck that, I'm not." doing yoga. You know, I mean, I'm the guy, who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga the first 42 years of his life. Another reason why, I brand it DDPY, because I get it for the guys who fucking say that, but throw your ignorancy away a little bit and look where the fuck I'm at, what I can do, and I'll be let's just cold like this while we're talking. I'm going to stand on this one leg, back it up a little so you can tell my hand's going to be right here. I'm going to take this foot and pull it over my head. And here's my other hand right here. So I'm not holding on to anything. At 6'4", 224 pounds, and I'll be 65 in 5 more weeks. So, it's like, look at Jericho. Jericho blew his back out when he was 41. I sent him the Arthur Borman video, and he called me back 5 minutes later and said, "You tell me what to do and I'll do it." And now Chris is 50. Now he's not wrestling 27 days friggin', a month anymore, but he's the biggest stars in professional wrestling still.
Yeah.
And whenever he goes out there, fucker leaves it all out there, and he still drinks like a demigod. I don't know how he's doing that. I know he's cut back some, but my point is AJ Styles, Drew McIntyre, God, the list, I could just list so many guys, but those are 2 of the biggest names in the world. They do my shit mainly because of Jericho.
Well, with that being said, your movie Relentless, it's very powerful. It has a very strong and positive message, especially, and like you say, to not give up, to believe in yourself and the stories that you provide within that. What was the main thing for you during that journey? With wanting to prove that this could be something that people could do, and that people just had to believe in it. What was, I saw the video. For those who may not have seen it yet, what was it just for you? Going through that time frame of just trying to prove that this thing can work, and how I can get people to want to buy into it.
Well, I think more than anything, because it healed me, and then it healed that disabled veteran. And that video, not P90X, not Insanity, Tybo, nobody has got that transformation. God sent me to him and him to me. I mean, that's the only way I can explain that. Resurrection of Jake the Snake. When you see change Jake Roberts goes through, it's unbelievable. There's no other program on the planet that could have done that for Jake, mainly because he was so beat up. And that's, when I say DDP yoga is not yoga, it's yoga position meets rehabilitation techniques, meets old school calisthenics, push-ups, squats, crunches, done with a slow burn, meets time under tension. I call it dynamic resistance. The medical world would be isokinetics and isometrics. And isokinetics is just isometrics moving, like engaging and flexing, like you're lifting weights, but there's no weight. So it's impossible for you to hurt yourself. You can modify it in any position. The thing that was so passionate to me, first of all, I blow my back out at 42. 3 spine specialists tell me my career is over. In less than 3 months, I developed the embryonic stages of what today would be called DDPY. Kick-ass cardio, dramatically increase your flexibility, strengthen your core at a whole different level. You just saw me lift my foot over my head and have a conversation with you. Yeah. The beauty is it, and this is why Jake could do it, and every beat up athlete. Like, I have a partnership with the NFL alumni. None of those guys paid for my shit. Like, none of them. Friggin', I take care of so many people. If you guys will actually really do it, I will hook you up and then we'll come back, 60 days from now. You tell me what happened.
I'm
Because
down.
I know that this holds back the hands of time from the field to the court to the bedroom. Again, going to be 65, still a fucking animal.
Well,
So,
I'm only 39, so I'm not old yet, but I do feel those that moment where me being 15, playing basketball all day, running and jumping, walking and being active, and just I kind of feel it, a little bit slowly creeping back up. So I've definitely been wanting to, do something, get back into an exercise. Like you say, I never really looked at yoga or anything like that as being something, I would think about doing it, but I cannot lie and say, not just for the purpose of us talking to you, but I have to be honest that I could see myself doing this as something that like you say, something you could do at your own pace, something that you can do, that you don't feel, is detrimental to you and it makes you feel better. So I definitely, am willing to, try it and get back with you in 60 days to see how it feels.
I'd love to. So what we'll do, you guys hit Marlon up, all right? And then he will give you my number, and then you guys both come like in a group text, and I'll
Okay.
tell you what to do, how to look it up, and then we'll hit back and, and you'll talk to Marlon a month out to be able to book it, so we got it locked down. And then we'll go,
Right.
okay, so tell me what, what you did, where to went, and I'll tell you some of the shit to do. But I mean, I literally lay everything out. It's like I start people with 25-minute workouts. So they don't think, oh my God, it's killing me. But if you want to go right to 60-minute workouts, like I can tell you because I've taught guys from, D1 schools to professional athletes. Of the professional athletes, I can honestly tell you that I can smoke 90% of them.
Mm.
And I don't mean like, I mean fucking smoke. Now, if it's someone like Eddie George, who played friggin' for 12, 13 years in the NFL, that's one of the percentages I ain't gonna smoke because that cat's been doing yoga. He's been doing yoga for the last 20 years.
Oh, so
You
he's
know,
already
they,
right.
they his
So I got a question for you. I know you talked about
I got 5 more minutes, guys. I got 5 more minutes.
No, appreciate it. Not a
really,
problem.
really quick. I know earlier you were talking about believing in yourself and stuff like that. So I want to ask you. I know you had an interview a while back. You talked about the direction of your character in WWE and how the stalker gimmick was pitched to you, but you really didn't believe in it, and how you wish maybe at some point you could have walked away, and Vince wouldn't have let you walk if you would have stuck to your guns. You mentioned also with DDPY and Relentless, the constant theme of your messages: never give up, believe in yourself, intention, retention, manifestation. With that being said, what would you tell guys that are up and coming who may be sitting in catering, guys who may be thinking of becoming a wrestler or whatever the case may be? What would you tell them about the importance of protecting your character and maintaining the integrity of said character?
Well, yeah, I built something that was as solid as it could be. It's one of the reasons why you guys want me on your show. I built something that was believable and people got behind. And I didn't realize how much hate there was with WCW people. I
Mhm.
thought, fuck, I never, Vince is going to love me. And they didn't, they obviously did not treat that character coming in there the way the character should have been.
Right.
But I could have stepped up and went, I'm not doing that. I was trying to be a team player. Um, in retrospect, I would have done things completely different. But if I have to really sit down and pick, I probably would have let everything happen the way it did because it gave me a different level of understanding about business. You have to understand, I fought for everything in WCW, and I would go to the mat, and there was nobody that I wouldn't get, talking right to their face about it. I'm not going to talk shit behind your back. I'm going to talk right to your face. And I fought like hell. I didn't think I had to do that there. Boy, was I
Right.
wrong. That's the
Right.
same thing everywhere. It doesn't make WWE bad. It's just same thing everywhere. I have been treated so good by the WWE since the Best of Nitros
Yeah,
came out. They've treated me
oh
like
yeah, yeah,
gold. Like one of the biggest reasons my company blew up was because of Shark Tank.
Yes.
Two
Right.
weeks before or 3 weeks before, they invite me to come on as one of the legends night. And Triple H says, you and Booker T be talking, put your shit over, throw the DVDs up there, do the foot in the air thing. We'll have Ron Simmons come in and go, damn, and it'll get your shit over. And Jake, no one has seen Jake in the WWE ring. And at that point, I want to say it was like 16 years. And
it had been a
Jake
long
didn't
time.
just burn, yeah, he didn't just burn bridges. He nuked bridges. And it would be preposterous for me to think when we started our journey that I could help him get in the Hall of Fame. But it's exactly, it wasn't his goal for him. He wanted to work another Rumble. I
Right,
wanted him to get in the Hall of Fame. And
right. You
that's what
got it.
I manifested. And again, the WWE, like I'm thinking, of course, I'm going to induct Jake, right? Like, who else? And then I finally got the call from Mark Carrano, and he goes, D, got great news. I was like, what's up, bro? He goes, we're going to let you induct Jake. And I thought, oh my God, that's right. It's third TV. Like, it's not like just like you're going to induct him. You got to be picked by bits to induct him. So that was on my that was on my 58th birthday. So what I learned and what I came away from the stalker angle was you can't be afraid to walk away from the table. Like, you know what, Vince, this is a great idea, but not for me. But when you want to do people's champion versus people's champion, call me, bro, because I definitely want to do that. Thank you for the opportunity and walk out. Now, I didn't do that, but you don't learn that lesson unless you get, feel like you get knocked on your ass.
Right.
When Cody Rhodes was a sophomore, he told me, he's been like, I've been mentoring him since he was 12. He told me his sophomore year, I said, when you start football practice? He goes, I'm not going to play football this year. I was like, what? You love football? He's like, no, I'm going to focus on wrestling. My junior year, I'm going to win the state championship. I
Right.
said, well, I called him Young Buck back then. I didn't even call him Cody. I always called him Young Buck. And I said, Young Buck, what that's going to take? He's like, yes, sir. A lot of work. Bottom line is, I flew in from LA to watch that sumbitch go 48 and 0 and win his junior year. In his senior year, I called him after his 12th match. Cody, what's up, buddy? Now, I already know, but I'm not going to put it over. He says, I lost, Dallas. I fucking lost. I said, thank God. And he went, what? Why would you say that? I said, Code, do you think you learned from winning? You don't learn shit from winning. You learn from losing, falling down, making mistakes. I'll take that back. I said, would you rather have gone 44 and 0, met this kid who beat you And you lost to him then? He was like, hell no. I go, exactly. I said, what'd you learn from this? And he told me. He is a smart son of a bitch, man. And he told me. And I said, well, let me tell you something, Cody. You have the advantage here, and I'll tell you why. That kid thinks he beat you. He don't know you. I flew back again from LA, and me and my daughter Brittany went to that match. When he came out, you have 5 family seats on the state championship. When he came out, he saw me in the stands and said, Dad, get Dallas down here. And I was one of the 5 people. Grandpa had to move. And I sat down there and watched him, the same kid who beat him, I watched him eat him alive. And that kid ended up 47-1, just like Cody. But Cody walked away with his second state title. It's like, what did I learn from that? And Vince did me the greatest favor ever, because my business, so many times people want to put money into it. And I had to really think, does that make that work for me? And then when we did Shark Tank, and I walked away from it. And then Shark Tank, this could be our biggest thing ever, and it was. But they wanted me to sign all rights over for 18 months for how I promoted. This is after 5 interviews, demos, everything. And I said to my business partners, Steve Yu, I was like, the bottom line is, when he goes, we have to send them paperwork. We have to tell them what we're going to do. I said, you tell them that I said, thank you for the opportunity. We love the show, but we're going to pass. And Steve was like, we've been working on this for 2 years. I go, bro, I let one person control my destiny one time. That will never happen again. Yes. I was driving from Atlanta to Chattanooga. When I rolled into Chattanooga, I get a call from Steve. He goes, I got the producers of Shark Tank on the phone. They want to fix this. Okay, cool. And I got everything I wanted. And so that's the lesson that I came away from. Am I bummed that, oh God, I would have loved to work with The Rock? You know, it would have been magic. Magic. I even knew I was going to show up. I'm going to show up, and they're going to black out the friggin' building, and they're going to, everybody thinks it's going to be Jericho, but then 30 seconds goes by, and Jim Ross goes, hold on, everybody, we got some technical difficulty. And then for the first time ever in that building, in a blacked out arena, you hear, who's the real people's champion? Spotlight. You're looking at him. Bang! Boom, 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 boom. I told my wife, I was like, at the time, Kimberly, I was like, it's going to be amazing. I go, The Rock will be injured, or he'll be hurt, or he'll be doing a movie or something. And, and he won't be able to be there. And that'll start this, I'll do this whole thing on gimmick, how do they say it? Gimmick infringement. I'll do that whole thing on that he did, and stealing my freaking gimmick and blah, blah, blah. When I came in to meet with Vince and Shane, and The Rock was filming Scorpion King, like, I saw it. I didn't know that was going to be it, but I saw it 2 years earlier. And it, like I say, it was, if I did it again, I would do it exactly the same. Because today, I mean, I'm so blessed by God. I have 0 debt. I've got multiple homes, businesses. I mean, and I don't need to work anymore. The company takes care of itself. I love to help people. That's what my mission is. And that's why I still do interviews like this for an hour and 40 minutes.
Thank you. We appreciate
you know what I mean?
Sir.
It's why
we appreciate you. And we
And we're
definitely appreciate you. I just got one little quick question. One of our fans wanted to know, did any of the investors from Shark Tank, after, everything took off, did any of them reach out to want to do business with you?
No, well, yeah, for ridiculous money, 50% thing, Mr. Wonderful. But I told him, oh, Mr. Wonderful,
And
but
last,
I never went to that show. I never went to that show to get a deal. I went there for exposure.
yeah,
That's what I went there for.
and so I can assume in your Relentless, you said you're done wrestling. It's done. You wrestled your last match in
Yes.
the A. It can the one and only DDP confirm that one more time? No more wrestling, no more matches, or do you have one more diamond cutter left in you?
I didn't say I will never hit a diamond cutter, but Cody had asked me, he was like, maybe one more. And I was like, if you could figure out a way to top that,
Right.
like,
That was
I
big.
don't know how you top that. I mean, it
Right.
was the crowd. When I went off that top rope, remember I showed you the picture of my boys,
Mhm.
Bad Company?
Right.
I used to have a picture of Mondo Guerrero in full stride. He ran up to the top rope and he dove on the three of us. I had no idea that was happening. And I have a look like, what the fuck? I can't find the picture, but it was priceless. And I remember the picture, and that's all I was trying to be, was trying to come as close as I could at gonna be 64, um, emulating Mondo Guerrero.
Hey,
That was, and the picture I've got is amazing. So flying through the air. Hold on, I'm gonna end on that. Got to grab that picture. Hold on, got to pull that. I've showed you all the other pictures. This is one of my favorite pictures now. Uh, so this is
and that
three
is
weeks
awesome.
before my 64th birthday, and that crowd, they went batshit crazy.
Hey, they did. That was a
And
huge moment.
yeah, and the next, because Relentless was already done right around that time. It was done. We were going to put it out, and we didn't get around to it because we were so busy shooting stuff for AEW and our own stuff. And I woke up that next morning and I looked at Paige and I said, I know why we haven't put out Relentless yet. She said, why? I said, last night has to be in there. And then we started working on that. And we finished it about 4 months ago, and we put it out on Amazon Prime about 2 months ago. So if anybody's watching, you want to see really amazing um, documentary, Relentless, I'd love you to put a review. You can't put a review on Amazon Prime. You have to go to Amazon where you buy shit. That's where they let you put reviews. You just
right.
Google DDP and Relentless, it'll come right up. And if you haven't seen Resurrection of Jake the Snake, I totally recommend that as well. Fellas, I got to go. Great talking to you. Get a hold of Marlon again. We'll get back together in 60 days. All right.
I
Thank you so
appreciate it,
much
sir.
again,
Thank you
brother.
for taking the time out with us, sir. We definitely appreciate it.
All right,
Later.
guys. Have a good one, man.
You too,
Appreciate you,
boy.
sir. Thank
See
you.
ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude our Diamond Dallas Page DDP interview. Thank you for rocking out with us. Oh my God, throw it up, throw it up. And that ain't Jay-Z, that's the Diamond Cutter. Now with that being said, tonight we are going to continue giving more content as we're going to do our AEW and NXT review shows around maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock. So stay tuned with that. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in. This is the 27-year-old piece of gold. He's too cold. For everybody that showed love, man, salute. Like they say,
Appreciate it.
better late than never, right? And with that being said, until later on tonight, we'll see you when we see you. Too cold. Anything else left?
Man, I ain't got nothing else left, man. We just talked with a Hall of Famer and just had a blast, laughed, got a little bit of knowledge, just learned stuff, and actually willing to, hey, I'm getting older, man. I got to get myself right, man. So I'm looking into that DDP yoga too, and you should too, man, if you need to.
Hey, don't stop by the bakery too many times. With that being
Hey man,
said,
hey, look, the man already said it himself, so it's a wrap now. It's over. It's a wrap. So yeah, that DDP yoga, baby.
You better get your DDP and Blue Chew on, huh?
I don't know about the truth now. We're gonna see how the yoga work out.
Hey, be like the Rock, like,
No, we still good. No, we still good. It's no, we still good. No, bro. No, we just gonna learn to stretch a little bit. That's all.
Well, with that being said, guys, we'll be back in about 3 hours or so. Follow us on here, man. Hey, we'll see y'all when we see y'all, man. We hype. Let's go. See you.
Yeah, right, man. Deuces.